Do you really know how to practice music efficiently? Here are some simple suggestions that will help you to fit more into the practice time that you have available, and without rushing or sacrificing practice quality. Hi, I'm Morley-Fletcher from Play in the Zone. I bring you regular tips on how to improve much faster as a musician and enjoy your music more by developing your mindset and mental skills. When you're serious about developing your skills as a musician, the sheer number of different things that you need to work on can seem overwhelming. And this is why it's so important to be able to practice efficiently, to fit more into a smaller amount of time. And what's more, efficient practice allows you to squeeze each specific topic into a shorter window of time, and that's going to allow you to be more effective with your practice as well. Because we only have a limited ability to concentrate. We can't concentrate at our highest level forever. So when you're able to keep your practice sessions shorter, your concentration is better and therefore your practice is more effective too. In this video, I'm going to run through my top suggestions for practical actions you can take that will make your practice sessions more efficient. And make sure you stick around until the end, because once I've gone through those practical actions you can take, I'll also go over how to structure your practice time for the most efficient progress. And while you're watching, make sure to like, share and subscribe if you're enjoying this video. And the first way to make your practice more efficient is to have the topics you're going to work on planned out in advance so that you don't waste time at the start of the practice session figuring out, well, what am I going to work on? Seems really obvious, but I've certainly fallen into that trap a lot, and I've seen many others do it as well. Can you just do that little bit of organization in advance, have the topics planned out, you can get straight into it. And an extra bonus of this is that it makes it much more likely that you're actually going to practice in the first place. If you've ever struggled with procrastination, thinking, well, I probably should do some practice, and then just keeping on managing to put it off, a lot of that is resistance to the extra work of trying to figure out what I'm going to do. Not, going into something that's uncertain is much less appealing to us than getting into something we know what we're doing. So interestingly enough, it seems like a small change, but just that situation of having a really clear idea, this is what I'm going to practice in the session, A, makes it easier to get started. B, there's that commitment. We've kind of said, here's what I'm going to practice. That's a little commitment to ourselves. We don't want to let it down. So not only is that going to let you use the time in your practice session more effectively, but it means that actually you're much more likely to actually have that practice session in the first place. And the second way to make your practice sessions more efficient is to plan out those topics again. But what I mean here is really plan them out, not just have an idea, oh, I'm going to practice scales, or maybe even, oh, I'm going to practice this particular scale. But what exactly does that mean? How many times are you going to run up and down that scale? Are you going to do that all just linearly, straight up, straight down? Are you going to move through it in thirds? How many different keys are you going to do it in? What are you going to focus on while doing it? Is it about getting it technically correct? Is it about the tone you're getting? Is it about changing dynamics? So many different things that you could be doing. And the more specific you are in advance on knowing exactly what it means to practice this topic, the more efficient your practice time is going to be. Again, it's not just less time spent working out, oh, how many times do I need to play this scale? What am I thinking when I'm doing it? But it's also, these are the things that matter to you. You're doing them with purpose, and you're getting really good results out of them. And the third thing to make your practice sessions more efficient, again, it sounds really simple, but see whether you're doing it or not. You'd be amazed how many musicians aren't. But this is to have everything that you're going to need for the practice session easily to hand. So that means having a music stand out if you need it. It means having the music you might want to work from or any other materials. It means having your instrument easily available. And specifically, how easy can you make it for you to just pick it up and start playing as quickly as possible. Again, amazing what a difference this makes. For me, I have my guitar out on a stand, so all I have to do is pick it up and play. If it's my electric guitar, I have it plugged in already to the amplifier, everything's set up, so all I have to do is turn it on and play. And it doesn't save that much time than having to take it out of a case, plug it in, all that sort of thing. But you would be amazed how much that adds up over time. And also, again, it's this motivation, how much that reduces your motivation to practice when you just know there's this little barrier. It's only a small barrier, but it really has an effect. So again, makes me much less likely to do it in the first place if my instrument isn't easily there, but also when I do it, I've got that little reluctant feeling. I'm having to go through things, so I'm then not really kind of powering on being efficient. So set up everything that you can to make your practice space, the things you're going to work on, easily within reach and just all there to start with, so you can just get straight down to it and all your time is spent on practice. Now, the next thing that you can do to make your practice more efficient is see if you can find things to work on that tick more than one box at the same time. So can you find perhaps passages from a piece that you're working on that are essentially scale runs for a particular scale that you want to work on? So that way, when you're practicing that section of the piece, you're also doing that work that you might otherwise be doing completely separately on scales. Or is there something that you want to learn that would make a really great warm-up for warming up your technique on the instrument? So that way you're not just warming up on something that has no relevance for you musically, you're also memorizing something that you want to know later. Or maybe you're using it as a chance to work on how you would phrase that thing that you already know, but it's also acting as a warm-up. So what we're doing here is see how many different ways, how many different times you can get value out of the music that you're working on. And a bonus from doing this is it really does force you to think about, well, what are my goals for practice? Because unless you're clear on what your goals are, you can't really tell which things you can use to make multiple steps at once towards your goals. So it's helping you be more efficient because you're getting 2 or 3 or 4 results out of one thing that you're working on, but at the same time it's helping you stay connected to what actually really matters. So that's really helpful too. Now, the final tip is to set timers for the topics you're going to work on and make them a little bit too short for what you want to achieve in the time. And what this is going to do is it's going to put you in that state of knowing that if you want to get anywhere near achieving what you'd like to, you're going to have to practice really efficiently. When there's huge amounts of time available, we can switch off, we can relax and just kind of coast our way through it. And this is something that gets referred to as Parkinson's law. Basically, work will expand to fill the time available. So when you're setting a really short timer on something, you are sending a signal to your brain, wow, you had better be really efficient about this, because otherwise the window is closed and the chance to improve it is gone. So that's a really great way to maximize your efficiency. Set timers that are a little bit too short and your brain's natural reaction will kick in and keep you focused and really efficient at achieving as much as you possibly can in that time. For this to work though, you do have to honor the timer. When that timer goes off, you'd better stop what you were doing, move on to the next thing or finish the practice session, whatever it was. Because if you do this and you're trying to trick yourself into being efficient and then you keep practicing after the timer goes off, well, your brain knows that you're lying to you and it's not going to work anymore. So if you do this, make sure that you do respect the timer. Okay, let's quickly summarize all that before I get into the bonus tip on how to structure your practice for better results. So those tips again were to have your topics planned out ahead of time, have them really planned out so that you know exactly what you're going to do. Make sure that you have everything you need to work on to hand. See if you can find exercises that tick more than one box at once, and set timers for a little bit too short a time for what you're working on. And the extra bonus for how to structure your practice time to be even more efficient comes from the way that the brain learns. And what happens is, actually, even after you've stopped working on something, the brain will continue processing that information you've taken in, those skills you've worked on, for a while after you've stopped consciously thinking about it. And that tends to go for about 10 minutes or so. So what this means is, after each particular practice block you do, you get 10 minutes extra learning going on. So if you were to do a huge amount of practice all in one chunk in one day, you get 10 minutes extra learning after that. But if you were to split that practice out into 7 sections, across the whole week once a day, well, you get 10 minutes after each of those sections. So now you've done the same amount of practice yourself, but when you put it all as one chunk, you only got 10 minutes extra free learning, if you like, from your brain. Whereas when you split it up, did it once a day for 7 days, you get 7 times that 10-minute period. So 70 minutes, over an hour of additional learning. So what this means is that little and often really does beat going for big chunks. And even more than that, sleep is a massively important aspect of learning. When you're sleeping, your brain is really doing things with the work you've done, what you've taken in, those memories. So if you have this available to you, and I know a lot of you won't, a great thing to do is to do a bit of practice in the morning, have a nap, which will help some of that process happen. The memory consolidation, things will improve, and then another practice session in the afternoon. And then you'll do your normal sleeping in the night, and that will consolidate memories as well. And so by breaking things up and sleeps in between, if that's available to you, again, you get even more of your brain's natural processing power, looking at what you've learnt and assimilating it and fast tracking how much you progress with that. Now, for a great combination with what we've talked about today, I definitely recommend checking out my video on how to improve the effectiveness of your practice next. And if you'd like the special practice and performance tips that I only share with subscribers, then head on over to playinthezone.com and sign up for the emails. They're free. I've been Morley-Fletcher. Thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.